This program contains content that may concern some viewers.
I don't want to do something irrational. I don't want to hang myself. I don't want to shoot myself. I don't want to jump off a bridge. I don't want to run in front of a train, because that's suicide. This is not suicide. What I plan to do. It's totally different.
What is it?
It's going out with some dignity.
You'll be the one that takes the drug, though?
Yes, certainly.
So you will be the one who ends your life?
Yes. Yep.
How will you be without him?
I don't know.
The trouble with euthanasia. Welcome to Four Corners. Back in 1995, Australia was the first country in the world to legalise voluntary euthanasia, albeit only in the Northern Territory. The law lasted just 8 months before the federal parliament voted it down. Since then, there have been attempts to introduce euthanasia law reform in every state and territory except Queensland, some 30 attempts in all. Despite polling showing around 70% support for some form of legalisation in Australia, every attempt has failed. Frustrated by this lack of action, 15 Australians have chosen to travel to Switzerland, where they were legally assisted to die. The process is long, costly and fraught. In tonight's Four Corners, Liz Jackson follows one young man's attempt to obtain what the Swiss call the green light to go. It's an intimate, powerful and challenging story.
Kylie and I were in the kitchen and we just the other thing.
Bertha Franklin is getting ready for a photo shoot with her son Jay.
You look beautiful, Bertha.
They've never done this before, but were given a free voucher for a set of studio portraits for Christmas.
You didn't even shave your bum.
A present from their good friends, Kylie and Damien.
You are friends. Yes, we are.
And how do you fit into the whole...
We work together. Her grandma and I work together.
What do you do, or what did you do, Beth?
Oh, I was nursing them.
Nursing? Now, let me just take a quick little test shot here, so don't waste all your smiles, yeah?
Doesn't have many anyway.
Bertha doesn't have any recent family photos, and she wants some special ones as mementos of Jay.
And just glancing around towards each other for me, please.
Immediate family has, for the past 15 years, been just Jay and Bertha.
Nice and happy as well, okay? Just pretend that you like each other.
The studio has been told that Jay is sick and may not last the year. It's true, but not the whole truth. They've not been told that Jay is planning to go to Switzerland as soon as he can, so that he can be legally assisted to die.
I can't help it.
Without this assistance, he could live for another 30 years.
That's all right.
You're a young man. You know, you're in your mid-30s.
Yep.
You could live another 20, 30 years.
Yep. No, I don't want to like this.
Can you be so confident that you wouldn't change your mind in 10 years?
No. No, yes, sorry. Yes, I'm confident, yeah.
Because the two things that, one, you're young, and two, you don't have a terminal illness.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
So what would you say to people who say it's...
Well, they haven't had
that's
to
such
walk.
a gift of life.
They haven't had to walk in my shoes for these past 36 years. They're not going through what I go through every day. You know, and it's not about them anyway. At the end of the day, it's about me and me being able to make my own choice and what I want to do.
Jay Franklin was born on the 30th of December, 1976. At 4 days old, he was rushed to the Children's Hospital. There was a problem.
They told us he had this disease called Hirschsprung's disease.
Had you ever heard of it?
Never heard of it, no. So they explained quite very well what it was and how it happened. When the baby is growing in the womb, there's these nerve endings that don't form in the bowel, and so you don't have this peristalsis which moves the bowel action along, so it just doesn't work.
Essentially the bowel doesn't
work.
So how old was he when he had his first operation?
About 14 days old.
From that day on, Jay has worn a colostomy bag, and from then until now, he's been in and out of hospital. So this is gorgeous. How old is he here?
He's about 4. Probably they're all about 4.
Oh, they're very cute. Maybe that one looks about the same. That one looks a little bit younger, yeah?
Yeah, it does. This day, this photo was taken. One of his nurses, with our permission, she came and took him to the zoo for the day. Just, you know.
So it looks like he's having a fabulous time. He looks like a happy little toddler in the photograph.
Oh, he was. Oh, he was always happy. Smiling, yeah. Very, like, even if he wasn't well, he was still smiling. Quite astounding, really, I think.
So how much of his life do you think he spent in hospital?
It's a very... I'd say in the first 4 years, he may have spent a third of his life, perhaps.
Through primary school, Jay managed well, but his health went downhill in his teenage years. It devastated his schooling.
Year 9, I lost about 8 months due to having an infection between the bowel and the bladder. Then in year 10, I was in hospital for 4 months because part of the bowel had died due to all the antibiotics I was on. Done year 11, not too bad, and then got to year 12 and got to the end of the first term, I think, and just started the second term, and it was just too much. I'd missed far too much school.
Jay has had a number of jobs since leaving school, call centre work being one, but recently he's found it harder to get and hold a job. As his surgical scarring increased from his multiple operations, he developed chronic pain. He's now unemployed. How many operations do you reckon you would have had since 2001?
I don't know, lost count, to be honest.
5, 10, 15, 20, 30?
It might be 20, 15, 20, maybe more. Yeah.
So have you been able to work at all in the last
Not
5
since.
years?
I haven't been able to work full-time since 2000, and I haven't worked since 2007.
And that's because?
Just because the pain's been too bad and I just haven't been well enough to work.
Morning. Good, thanks. It's the first morning we've gone to Jay Franklin's home. He lives with his mother out near Melbourne Airport.
Hard for them to understand.
Jay is having an average start to the day. It's around 10 a.m. Jay, can you tell me what they are while you're taking them?
Okay. This first one I took is Oxy non-liquid. It's a very strong pain relief. Mm-hmm. And the other one I'm just taking is some diazepam, which is like Valium, just relaxant, just to help me relax when my pain's bad.
Jay has been attending a pain clinic on and off for years, but has not found a solution to his pain. He's recently gone public about wanting to fly to Switzerland where the law allows those who are suffering unbearable and uncontrollable pain to be assisted to die. He dreads another operation for a major bowel obstruction, which next time could kill him.
It's going to happen at some stage that I'll get a full bowel obstruction, and I don't want to go out that way.
Can you talk to me about why you feel that way?
Why? Because it's not very pleasant to have a bowel obstruction. I mean, you're vomiting all the time, you're in really, really severe pain. I mean, they'd probably have to put a tube down my nose, and that way it just stops you from vomiting. It just draws all the fluid that's in the bowel because it can't get out because the bowel's blocked. So that just drains the fluid away. But you're still very, very sick, and it's just not, it wouldn't be a nice way to go. I want to go with some dignity after all these years.
He said to me, I want to make my own decision about it. Not that I get that sick and I can't make a decision. But in this last year, it's been very in the forefront of his thinking that if he could do something, as much as, look, your only child and you're having to have this conversation, but just for your own selfishness, you can't be saying to him, oh, don't do this. It'd be terribly selfish, I think.
So have you talked to any of your specialists about it?
About going to Switzerland? The surgeons obviously know because of the articles that have been out in the papers. So they know about it.
Have you spoken with them about it?
Not in depth, but I mean...
Because?
Not for any particular reason, just, I mean, it was pretty obvious from the articles what I wanted, and yeah. But they didn't try and talk me out of it or anything. When they were sad, I was sad about it. But yeah. And they just kept asking me, was this really what I want? And I said, yes, it is. If there's nothing more you can offer, surgically to fix me permanently, then, enough's enough.
It's sunny in the backyard, and Damien and Kylie have dropped around.
So you two got a view about
They're comfortable to talk about Jason's decision. They've known him for years.
First time I met Jay was 16 years ago, and I actually met him in the Austin, which is not the way you want to meet people, but he's one of Kylie's best friends. And we went in to see him, and all he did was wake up and he looked at me and said, "Who's this tall prick?" That was his first words, because he'd never met me before and that, but got to know him over the years, and support him 100%. Seen half his battle. As I said, he's 36, I've only seen half of it, but first time I spoke to him about it, it was really confronting, even though I supported him, but to know what he's going through and what he wants to achieve, but do anything to help him, and his mum's been amazing.
I've known Jay for so long. To see what he's doing now, it actually makes me proud and extremely happy, because there's some light at the end of his pain tunnel that he's never been able to get before. And as hard as it is for me on the selfish side, you have to put that aside, because it's not about how I feel, it's about supporting Jay, and I do that 100%, 110%. I would hold his hand right to the end, and he knows that. So, sorry.
Didn't cry for me, you bitch.
It's a beautiful relationship, really.
Cool. Where do you want me to put him? Just on that plate there?
Yeah, just on this last colour.
Kylie and Bertha are making lunch for everyone, although there's not a lot of food that Jay can digest.
So are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I suppose it's all right when you're just like yourself talking about things.
Yeah.
But when it's other people as well, they kind of, I don't know, just...
That sort of brings it back to reality, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
You know.
Like why it's just you.
Yeah, it's like you're not thinking about it too much.
Yeah,
so,
just sort of not. But then when you think, oh yeah, okay,
So anyway, but look, you know me, just soldier on. We have to soldier on.
Yeah, but you know, you can't soldier on all the time.
Yeah.
I was on hold for about 30 minutes. Yeah. Because I was sitting in our room on our bed, and I said to Joe, I was sitting there thinking about how we used to ring in Dr. Phil. Phil Luke, sorry.
When you have a nice day, say like yesterday when your friends came around, and they're really fond of you, and you have a laugh together.
Yeah.
Does that make you think maybe I'll stick around a bit more?
No, I can't. No, and they're not. They can't. They wouldn't ask me to stick around for that either. All right, mate.
Very good.
No worries. Thanks again. All right.
No worries.
Danny.
No, really appreciate it.
Hey.
But Jay has a long way to go before he can think about booking air tickets to Switzerland.
All right.
The only country in the world where a foreign national who is not terminally ill can, within days of arrival, be legally assisted to suicide.
Say hi to the kids.
The Swiss facility is called Dignitas, and if Jay can make it, he will be the 16th Australian to die there. But there's a process to follow, criteria to be met, and a fee to be paid, around $12,000, money that Jay and Bertha do not have.
You know, I'm obviously not in a financial position to be able to finance this myself. So we're, you know, waiting on seeing what sort of donations we get from the general public.
And how are you going about that?
Philip's been running these workshops, fundraisers for me as well, to try and raise money. He's been telling my story and showing the articles and stuff, and you know, and trying to raise as much money as possible.
The Philip who is helping Jay is Dr. Philip Nitschke, the well-known euthanasia advocate and founder of Exit International. He's up in Queensland to hold a workshop outlining for these folk the methods they could use to end their lives.
In fact, it's the only book banned in Australia in the last 35 years.
He's focusing on the lethal drug Nembutal and a nitrogen tank device, both of which could swiftly do the job. While suicide is legal, assisting a suicide carries a life sentence here in the Sunshine State. Past cases suggest that just being present, holding a hand, could be enough to trigger a criminal prosecution of family or friends anywhere in Australia. It's a risk.
So we really don't know. There's a feeling that you can be with someone as long as you don't physically help them take this step. But our advice generally is to say, look, if it's going to happen, be with the person that you want to be with. Of course you should. But perhaps you should say you were in the next room when you call the doctor. I went in and, oh, it looks like my husband has ended his life. Rather than saying I was there.
The Gold Coast venue is packed with people keen to learn about all the options. Dr. Nitschke tells them about Jay Franklin.
Jay Franklin is a 35-year-old from Melbourne who's suffering and has been suffering really from the day he was born with Hirschsprung's disease. Most of his bowel has been removed, associated with surgical procedures. He's finally got to the point where he said he's had enough, and supported by his mother Bertha there alongside him, he's decided that he wants to go overseas to have a peaceful death. It's quite hard for him. They don't have a great deal of reserves or resources to make this trip, and of course the Swiss option is not cheap. First of all, you've got to get an airline to take you to Switzerland, and the fees in the Swiss, in the Dignitas organisation are around about $12,000. I've written a letter on this green sheet of paper, which I hope you have a chance to pick up if you haven't already, and read the letter, which is basically me asking you to be generous in a campaign to try and raise the money for Jay. Exit has also said that we'll go dollar for any donations you make. Although the legislation that they're trying to...
Dr Nitschke is aware his support for Jay is controversial, as Jay is not dying.
No, I don't have any concerns about it. I used to think that people had to be terminally ill in the times of back in 1996 when I first got involved in this issue. Nowadays, intolerable suffering is a good enough criteria for me, and that can be coming from a number of forms, sometimes from medical conditions, as in the case of Jay, sometimes from other reasons. So I don't have any trouble. He's an adult. He's a person who's had a lot of time to consider this. This is not a rash, impetuous decision. There's not a hint that he's suffering from some psychiatric condition which is distorting his thought processes. He knows exactly what's involved. I'm not going to come along and say, no, I disagree or anything like that. I do actually agree with his decision. If he wants to do that, I think it's important to make sure it's possible.
Tell me how you met Philip Nitschke.
Well, obviously I'd heard about him over the years on the media and stuff, and a few years ago I went to one of his workshops, and then last year I decided to, finally take that next step and try and make contact with him personally and see what he could offer. Excuse me. And then, an offer came up possibly to go to Switzerland. So yeah, he's just been running around and trying to find information out and that for me. So he's been really great and really supportive. Yeah, he's been fantastic.
Do you know he's a controversial figure?
Oh, yeah. Very passionate, very, very passionate. And yeah, I know he's controversy, but yeah. But that's Philip.
Dr Nitschke is currently being investigated by the Medical Board of Australia. Here he's arriving at his favourite pub in Adelaide to promote the uses of his nitrogen device to put gas in your beer, pump up your tyres, as well as ending your life.
We've got 70% nitrogen and 30% CO2, which gives it a creamier, fuller body.
I'd like to say that we admire your work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we do.
That's great. I hope this works out, because the whole idea of the nitrogen here tonight is because of the way the medical board are trying to say that I've developed a system which is only for people to end their lives. And of course nitrogen is used for a lot of things, including putting it in beer. And what pressure do you normally have them at?
Take it to 120, I reckon.
Allegations have been made to the medical board that Dr Nitschke has attempted to facilitate the supply of the lethal drug Nembutal and is marketing a nitrogen device solely for the purpose of suicide. The devices are outside in the back of his van.
Have you got a car here?
Yep.
Okay.
Dr Nitschke denies the allegations and stands by what he does.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to meet you anyway.
Good on you.
Thank you.
Are you considering at all curbing what you do?
No, I'm not considering curbing what I do. I don't want to lose my medical registration over it, but I think it's too important to provide these options for people, and I'm getting growing numbers of people all the time really clamouring for this information. So there's a need out there and it needs to be met, and I would not like to think that I've got to lose my medical registration to serve that need. But if it has to be, it has to be. But I'm certainly not going to roll over and just say, well, right, I'll be objecting to this all the way.
The next time we visit Jay and Bertha, friends had cooked them dinner the night before.
We had a lovely night.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, Jason had a bad night though?
Yeah, I had pain, just tried to eat a little bit of stuff and, then, yeah.
What happens when you eat a bit of, last night at the dinner?
Yeah, and then, then his pain, because you try and eat, you've got to, and he just had a bad night, one of the bad nights, and so he's a bit slow this morning. But anyway, we're up. You haven't come and found us in bed.
No, I hope not. Let's just see how Jason is, eh?
Do you want a cuppa or something for you?
Oh, a cup would be lovely, actually.
I'll put the kettle on.
Do you want me to do it?
No, we'll have a cuppa. Ron, would you like a cuppa?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yes.
Morning. Morning.
What are you having?
Feeling crook?
Yeah, I'm not the best. I'll just be a few minutes.
Yeah, take your time. The Pope resigned this morning.
Yeah, I heard.
It's very interesting.
I'll sleep tonight. See, I know that now.
Oh, Jay. When the last Pope was here, her son drove him round, and they've got photos on the wall, like of, with the last Pope, whoever he was, John Paul II. Yeah, and Ryan was telling us last week it was quite interesting driving him round.
Probably 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, no worries.
Kidding.
No worries. Just take your time.
Sorry, I had a bad night.
What, couldn't sleep?
Oh, just pain in the head. I've been up most of the night, so.
I'll have a bit of a sit down and we'll just see if make sure
I'll
you're...
just be 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
Right, and I'll be...
Anyway, we'll sit and have a cup of tea.
That'll be lovely.
We'll sit over here. How's that?
Sounds good to me.
Well, this morning he could have stayed in bed all day if you weren't coming. Just, his pain was really bad when he got up. He just can't function. It's hard to explain, but it's like he can't do anything. He either lays in bed or lays on the couch and just listens to his... luckily music is one of his favourite things, and he, listens to his music in between dozing or whatever, and he just doesn't go out of the house.
Jay has been downloading material about the Dignitas organisation based near Zurich.
But even from what I've seen on different stuff we've come across on YouTube and stuff about it, it does look nice, doesn't it?
It does.
You watched any of those documentaries?
Yeah.
Have you watched the documentaries about folk who go to Dignitas?
Yeah. It looks very peaceful, and you're asked, at least 3 times, are you sure you want to take this? It's not like you take it, it's just it's your decision.
What's your feeling about it?
Oh, exactly just what Mum just said.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's how I felt as soon as I saw it.
There
was no pressure, there was no, I just kept reassuring the patient after, what would happen and just kept asking him if that's what he wanted to do.
Is that important to you? Is it important that you feel at every point that you can make another decision?
At some point pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel totally comfortable to do that?
Yeah.
So how long does the drive take?
Good
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So how many times have you done this drive?
How many dollars would you like?
In the afternoon, Jay and Bertha head out to the Austin Hospital.
She was quite pleasant enough.
Jay needs a psychiatric report stating he has the capacity to make sound decisions about his health before Dignitas will assist him to die.
Well, I need an evaluation, basically to say I'm of sound mind of making this decision on going to Zurich.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Because they need that over there.
Yeah, you have to be sure that you know what you're doing.
Because of the depression part.
Dignitas is reluctant to take people who are found to be suffering from depression. Is that an issue in your case?
I don't think so, because I've been told it's not your typical clinical depression, it's reactive depression to everything I've been through.
So are you on antidepressants?
I am, I'm not at the moment. I've gone off at the moment because I just wanted to see how I'd feel without being off them. I spoke to my GP about it, and I said to her, at this stage I don't feel any different from when I was on them to now not being on them. So, just going to give it a couple more weeks and just wait and see. I'll get it, you know, I'll talk to her again when I see her in a month's time. So.
In the case of Jay, what we will need to do, and we're already looking into that now, is to get a contemporary psychiatric record to show that his thought processes are not being interfered with by what may have been pre-existing depressive states as he contemplated his pretty miserable prognosis associated with his condition.
Coming out of the
heat, yeah, thanks. Welcome. For a while, eh?
2 weeks have passed since our last visit, and there's a heat wave on in Melbourne. It's 36 degrees. Bertha has the lights off and the blinds down to keep it that little bit cooler inside.
Visitors are here.
There's been little progress yet on getting the psychiatric report. Several psychiatrists shied away once they knew why it was wanted. Jay is hoping a psychiatrist at the Austin Hospital will help.
The psychiatrist said to Phil, if you can get Jason's GP to do a referral.
Do the referral asking for this psychiatric assessment. Jay's GP has done the referral, but Jay is still waiting for the Austin to respond. It's his GP's view that Jay is no longer depressed. She's reluctant to appear on camera, but she's told me that she's fine with us saying that she was saddened by your decision, but she stood by your right to make it, and she knows from treating you over the years that it's a considered decision and a decision that she assesses that you're competent to make. Are you surprised that she's...
Not at all. Yeah.
So you've talked directly with her about it?
Yeah. Lots.
Collecting the money that Jay will need has proved to be less problematic. Dr. Nitschke has distributed hundreds of forms asking for donations.
Jay Franklin to Dignitas, and what's been the response?
Well, we've received about $8,000 so far.
But in the last 3 weeks, there's only been one day that he hasn't got mail. And it's all been fairly, like some small donations, like $25 or $30 or $50. But we have, since like that mail that came over the Christmas period, that's $8,000.
And how do you feel about that?
Be embarrassed, to be honest. Taking money from people that, you know, you don't even know. But, you know, it's a very generous offer from the people that have donated so far.
Ma, can we get some stamps, please?
Yes. Some behind you, but I've got a mountain more in here.
Another 2 weeks has passed. Jay is sending out personal letters thanking the people who have given him money to help him on his way. The first $800 paid for Jay's membership of Dignitas. The next $3,000 is for a Swiss doctor to check his medical reports to see if Dignitas can give Jay what's called the green light to go. Dr. Nitschke has come to help Jay sort things out.
Hello.
Hello.
How you going?
Yeah, so. Think about it.
Oh well, I found the place.
No use complaining.
No, there's no use complaining.
No one listens.
I got a bit lost actually.
Oh, did you?
Miracle I'm here on time. Shall I sit here?
Sit, yeah, sit, whatever. Would you like a cup of tea or
Yeah,
coffee?
a cup of tea would be good. The first thing, of course, and this is a necessary step, is to try and get the green light, to try and get and that'll, you've got enough money to do that. They want $3,000, they'll assess you, and then when everything's in place, then I think it's a matter of you determining your timing, when you want to go, if you want to go.
Yeah, I want to go.
All of that's open then, because
as soon as I get the green light and everything and we've got enough money, I want to...
I was going to ask you about that.
I want to do it.
Yeah, because, well...
I don't want to keep, you know, dragging it out. And
I know, but once you've got the green light, you do have the option of not worrying about, you don't have to worry about it
Yeah.
in terms of, and you could go whenever you wanted. Now, I suppose what you seem to be saying is that if you got the green light tomorrow, you'd go tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Well, we've got to move on now as far as that, as far as the process of getting your green light in position is done, and of course the necessary things there. I want to go through your medical records and work out what we send.
Yeah.
Because I'll be packaging up your medical stuff, and then there's the non-medical stuff, which I presume you've pretty well got.
Yeah, passports and all that. That's all in the process.
All those other bits and pieces.
We're just waiting on our passports now.
Yeah.
Milk and sugar, Philip?
No, just black, please. Just black, no sugar. Okay. All right. And then, of course, from the medical point of view, it's the psychiatric report. So when's that appointment? That's today sometime?
This afternoon.
Okay. You might ask her, how long is it going to take?
I will.
Tell her, without trying to...
It's been 6 weeks since Jay first requested a psychiatric report from the Austin Hospital. Jay and Bertha continue to prepare themselves to go.
Then the psych started and he said, all right, any questions, anything you've got, any worries?
How long are you usually in Zurich before it happens?
Well, it can be as short as you want, because when you make arrangements with them, you get the green light and you say, I would like an assisted suicide. And they will say, well, when do you want it? And you will say at this time or on this day. And they will then say, well, you should get to Zurich the day before or something like that. They will give you a sort of a time frame. But it can be as short as 48 hours from arrival to death.
Oh, my other thing is about the ashes.
Yes.
But I want to come home without them.
No, now
so what happens about that?
I will find out for you, but it's the cremation is fairly quick. I think it took us a couple of days. After John Elliott died, he was cremated, and he had this desire to have his ashes spread out on the... He was actually from Europe, and he wanted his ashes spread in the Alps there, close to Zurich, and we went out there and went out in the vehicle. It was it was within a day or two.
No, we've got a reason for asking too, because I want to... Jason wants some... my great-grandfather came from Bern in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
So Jason wanted some of his ashes sprinkled there.
Okay.
And my niece said, oh, that's only a train ride away.
It is. It is. So you would, yes, so you would be able to do that within a few days. So any, you may be all sorts of things you think of, but just don't sit around worrying about it. Just ring it, pick up the phone or send me an email.
Yeah.
Do you worry about the impact it will have on your mother?
Yeah, of course I do. That's one of my biggest worries. Both psychological and legally. If there's any legal repercussions for when she gets home.
No, I don't think there will be any legal implications, but I suppose it is in the back of your mind. But I've got broad enough shoulders, and I'll be on a soapbox. You know, they could try and, you know, but I actually haven't forced Jason to take that medication, and we're not in Australia anyway. And maybe it's illegal here, but we're going somewhere where it's legal. So how could they charge me with anything?
So when did you get back from the GPs? Another 4 weeks pass before we come back again. The psychiatric report from the Austin Hospital has finally arrived. It had been referred up to the CEO at the Austin and been twice through their legal department. It's signed by the consultant psychiatrist at the outpatient service. It says what Jane needs it to say. That is, I do not believe that Jason was clinically depressed or suffering from any overt psychiatric condition that might affect his judgment on the occasions I saw him. And I believe he has the capacity to make decisions regarding his future care. It does, however, add, whilst I have the deepest sympathy For his physical and psychological suffering, I need to state that euthanasia is illegal in Victoria and therefore I cannot support his course of action. So tell me, Jay, now that you've got the report, now that it says that you're competent to make these decisions, what's the next step?
Philip just has to send off everything to Switzerland, and then I suppose they assess all my paperwork, and if they're going to give me the green light to go ahead. So it's just a matter of waiting again now.
And have you had any more thoughts about what you might do once you get the green light?
I thought I'd go straight away, but just things here, I just don't know if I will act on it immediately. I mean, it might be this year, but...
It's up to Jason to make his own mind. He's sort of a bit, well, you could say why you...
Oh, it's you say. It's only
He's been a bit apprehensive. Like, he just was worried now that, you know, I've lost my sister recently, and he felt that it was just too much for me to be losing him in the same year. But as I've said to him, it's not about everybody else, it's about his decision. It may sound like I am... I'm not trying to push him into this. What I'm trying to say is that this is his decision and that he can't put his life on hold for other people.
Yeah.
That's all I'm sort of saying.
But if you've got any doubts or any reasons, it's best to think about it, because it's not a decision you can go back on.
No. That's what my friend said. Yeah, he said once you've made this decision, you go through that. Because there's no coming back from it.
But so you've known that all along?
Yeah. It's not that I'm thinking of not doing it, not going through that. It's just when. But, I know you're right in what you're saying.
Got a favourite?
I like the middle one.
When we talk later, it's clear that Jay is feeling the weight of the decision that is now on his mind. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. And I don't want to suffer for another 36 years. Keep going on the way I'm going.
But the alternative is not a great alternative either.
No.
Have you been thinking about it?
No, I try not to think about it. I have my moments, but I think I've made up. It's not like it's not like I woke up yesterday and decided this. So this is something I've been thinking about for the past couple of years. So it's just a matter of just the waiting game.
Hello?
Good morning.
Is that Bertha?
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you? It's been for ages.
I know.
1 week ago, we returned.
Oh, hi, Jay.
Hi, how are you?
Jay has just received the crucial email from Switzerland, giving him the provisional green light to go. Dear Mr. Franklin, please be advised that a medical doctor cooperating with us considers an accompanied suicide to be justified in your case.
What would you say about
Jay can now choose when and whether he wants to make the final trip.
I'm just happy that, I know that option's there for when things get too much. It's like I've got it, it's in the cupboard, and just knowing that I feel a peace of mind.
Dignitas reports that in fact a substantial majority of people who get the green light do not proceed with an assisted suicide. Quote, that simply knowing the option is there renders them able to further endure life and even to enjoy it. Our thanks to Jay and Bertha Franklin for letting us into their lives at such a challenging time. Next week on Four Corners, we look at a renewed fight against corruption in Papua New Guinea and whether Australia will help or hinder it. Until then, good night. If this program raises issues that require help, you can call these numbers.